Next one. Hey guys, I had a client for a while, and built out a drive stack with tons of tiered links. So it has become pretty powerful over time. Now the client wants to rebrand and move on to another website and drop the old one completely along with all the old profiles, etc. I advise them to keep it, but they still don't want them. Is there anything I can do? I hate to see a heap of great assets with link juice go to waste. Yeah, I've had that happen in the past too. What you could do is embed their site onto the G site, like their new site. If it's the same kind of like business, like if they're just rebranding, but if they're offering the same products and services, you could potentially just embed their site or some of their branded tier one assets into the site, to the G site, so that it kind of, what do you call it? It absorbs or inherits some of that link juice and that you've built to the previous stack. You got to be careful. I said branded assets, but maybe non-branded assets. So maybe tier 2 profiles, not tier 1 branded assets, because if you mix branded assets or the money site in with something that had been a previously strong brand, then you can ambiguate the new brand, right? You can cause that to have problems with establishing the entity and everything else, because you're sending mixed signals at that point. If you've got an established brand, that a former brand, because they want to abandon that, but that has a lot of, it had been validated and had built some authority to it. And then you start to embed a new brand into it, whether it's the money site or branded entity assets, that could cause some potential issues. So perhaps in that case, I would say maybe tier 2 stuff, right? Because then tier 2 stuff will inherit or absorb, siphon some of the authority from that G site and stack, but it will kind of, so the tier 2 profiles or link sources will inherit some of that authority. And then through the link in the tier 2 sources will push that to tier 2 should be linking to branded tier 1 assets. At least that's how I do most of my link building. And that would be kind of a way to push some of that authority and link equity through to your branded assets without ambiguating the entity, the new entity, if that makes sense. So that's potentially a way that you could do it, right? So here's an example. Here's something that you could do. And I just actually taught about this in, I guest presented with Essie, our trainer in Syndication Academy, a couple of weeks ago for the webinar, the update webinar. And I talked about an ID page strategy, which we also covered in the mastermind. But if you take like the G sheet from the Google stack and you take all of your, so for what I'm saying is the Google stack for the brand that your client decided to abandon should have a G sheet as part of the drive stack, right? It should be embedded into the G site and everything else. Well, what if you take a bunch of tier 2 links that you're building to the new brand? So you build out your tier 0 assets, the money site, Google business assets, which is Google business profile or Google business website, Google map. You take those, then you build out your branded tier 1 assets, interlink where possible, right? So that you're helping to Google make the association that it's the brand on all these different platforms. Then build some tier 2 links with whatever sources that you use for links to your tier 1 assets. Then take those tier 2 link sources, the source URLs, and put them into the G sheet from your original drive stack, the one that is being abandoned, right? Then you also, you hyperlink the URLs to keywords. And I taught about this in Syndication Academy just 2 weeks ago with Essie. So it's available in there. It's also available in the mastermind. But you just basically turn all of those links into keyword anchor text links in the G sheet. Right. And that's all you need to do. And then from there, like, again, that all of those links that are now tier 2 links that are pointing to branded tier 1 assets for the new brand are going to siphon some of that authority from that G site. And that's a quick and easy way to do it. So that's what I would do. If it's the same, like I've had old G sites and then switched to the new ones, but I didn't convert the old one to a new one. I just had a new one built. Because I had an old like classic G site though, that I built a bunch of links to and all that other kind of stuff. I've taken the new G site because it was the same brand. It was just, so it's a slight difference, but I would take the new G site and embed that into the old G site, or excuse me, link to it anyways. so that because you can't embed the new G sites, but link to it anyway, so that it would push kind of power from the old G site into the new one. So, and yeah, anyway, that's I was just about to say something else that wouldn't be appropriate to reveal on a Hump Day Hangout. So I decided against it.